Hello, and greetings in the name of Jesus. Hope everybody has a great week so far. The world we live in is a really strange world a lot of times. And history is even stranger at times. Well, things that we believe it's happened have maybe recourse through our history. But the Bible is full of information that we need to look at and understand. But a lot of things in the Bible people don't want to look at and understand because it may confuse them. It may be strange. It may be something they don't want to understand. But it's the same thing in the secular world too. A lot of things in the secular world people study and push and they talk about. They still don't understand. So one of those things we talk about is something that's very. If you go look at the internet today. And a lot of things that's being said in the documentaries on like Tubi and stuff, there's streaming channels. You see a lot of this stuff about a group called the Annunaki. The Annunaki here. The Annunaki was basically Sumerian gods that came to Earth, and they wanted to create mankind in their image, and they were these Assyrian gods and Babylonian gods, and they wanted to lord it over man, and they enslaved mankind. They had fought among themselves. It's really an interesting story. It sounds like Greek mythology and other mythologies and stuff. They have a very similar tone to it. But what is the truth about Anunnaki? A lot of the documentary stuff you see on TV and internet and stuff, they always tell the Anunnaki here and Anunnaki's there. And you got Zechariah Stitchin. He was a Jewish researcher that wrote a lot of writings, a lot of books and stuff about the Anunnaki. So what is the deal with the Anunnaki? Well, the story of Anunnaki is very, very similar to another story that happened before that. So it's really interesting to see how similar the two stories are. If you turn the Bible to Genesis 6, you'll see that this Genesis 6 story reflects the Anunnaki story. The similarities they have are astounding. And the coincidences they have are way too many to be coincidences. So there is a connection to the Genesis 6 story, the Anunnaki. I believe the Anunnaki never did exist. I believe the Anunnaki is, you look at all the information, the archaeology, the cuneiform tablets, stuff, Zechariah Stitchin's work. You put everything in the big bucket and look at the evidences. It seems like the Anunnaki, it was a mythological story created to deal with what happened in Genesis 6. Because the Genesis 6 story, Anunnaki have way too many, like I said, way too many coincidences. Just take a look at these coincidences first. First, the Anunnaki they descended from the heavens. In the story of the Genesis 6, the same thing, descended from heaven. Second one is the Anunnaki was large size, like the Nephilim and stuff. And the sons of God were also large size, and the kids are called Nephilim. Then you had they were called the Shiny Ones. These were what Anunnaki and Shyness, the Shiny Ones, also mentioned to the Genesis 6 account. Also, to advanced technology, they had knowledge and advanced technology that taught mankind, uses the Lord over mankind. It's the same thing with the Genesis 6 story. They had advanced technology at the time. Number 5, they lorded over man. They Anunnaki enslaved mankind and used them for cheap labor and stuff. And Genesis 6, when people lorded over man, they subjugated man to do their will and pushed the mankind to, because they were much smaller than they were, and they had all the power to push mankind around, the Lord over also. And the sixth, they changed the DNA of mankind. In the story of Genesis 6, they changed the DNA of mankind with women, with the coupling of sons of God with women. They took women that wanted, basically took women, raped them and stuff, and they changed the DNA of their children. They call the Nephilim the earthborn, because they are hybrids. The same thing with the Annunaki story. Then 6, seven, the 8th, 6 and 7. The 6 is DNA changes both to go together. The 6, 7, they were DNA changed. They loaded up women. They used the women to have families, and they fought among themselves. And number 8, they fought among themselves. The Annunaki had the story of Annunaki and little stuff. They fought among themselves and stuff. It's like the Greek mythology that Zeus and other gods fought among themselves. It's the same mythology. So basically, the story of Annunaki is very, very extremely similar to Genesis 6 account in the Bible. We know the Genesis 6 account happened a long time before the Sumerians existed. So we have to understand that the story was probably embellished, and made into a religion to control people. We do the same thing today. We have incidences of historical accounts, and we embellish them to get the object or get the desired effect that we do. One example is that people are always rewriting the history of the United States. They say this happened, that happened, this was not, because they didn't like what happened historically. So the historical account is changed deliberately to push their agenda. We see this all the time in politics and religion stuff. People change stuff. It's the same thing if they take a story, embellish it, like you do a comic book. Basically, the Annunaki is like a comic book. It's a story embellished to promote this religious concept to create a society they can control. So they took a Genesis 6 account and they embellished it into this account of the Annunaki. We also know the story of Annunaki is a mythology, because the mythology part of the stories and stuff don't make any bit of sense. One of the things that the mythology about the Annunaki is they came to Earth, saw these primitive ape-like creatures, and they wanted to make the slaves and stuff. So they take these ape-like creatures and alter the DNA so they can make a man. They make man from the evolved apes. If you think about that, it's really funny, because we know the story through science. We know through science that evolution never took place. It can never take place. So we know now the science of evolution is dead, because evolution is basically nonsense. So if you look at the genetic codes and the apes and humans, and there's no way that could have ever happened. So story, people want to believe this Annunaki created mankind. There's no way they could do that through the way that they say they would. A lot of groups claim that humans are made from aliens and stuff like that, but these stories don't make any sense, because no, God created mankind. We know from genetics, we know from mathematics and everything, all kinds of disciplines of science, biology, fossils, things. We know God created everything. God is our creator. And saying that some space aliens created mankind, it's just downright stupid. The part of the expression, but this really doesn't make any sense, because we know for a fact God created mankind. If you look, a couple weeks ago, talked about God's DNA being found in human DNA, that the mathematical structure in the Hebrew language is found encoded. God's name is encoded in our DNA. That cannot be an accident. So God has put His stamp in our DNA. That proves that the Annunaki story is baloney. It's just crazy baloney. This is like, the old saying, phony baloney. So we know the Annunaki story is not true. But today they're pushing the Annunaki story because for two reasons. One, they know evolution is dead. They know evolution is proven false. They want to replace it with something else. So they're desperate to get something to control mankind and lord it over mankind and subjugate mankind and take God away from man, because they want to control people. So another reason why they want to use this idea of aliens coming and making humans is that they want to use that storyline to push their political agendas. Because they don't want the Bible taught. They don't want the truth taught. They don't want people understand that we are created in God's image. That part, it makes mankind uncontrollable. If a man knows God created them and believes God created them for purpose, divine purpose, they're not as easy to subjugate and control as people who don't have any will at all. Say, well, it doesn't matter what I do. I'm going to die. That's it. I'm an ape, and when I die, I'm not going to heaven, not going to hell. I'm just don't exist anymore. So people just don't care. So if you have a person that believes that God created them, they have a more sense of reality and eternity and more self-worth, and they were harder to control. So you have to control people. That's what the story of Annunaki is really all about, is making this religious story so they can and lord it over people and control the people. So make it easier to subjugate people and do their will. Mankind's always wanting to control other mankind through all kinds of purposes and reasons. Through religion, through politics, through intimidation, wars. And this is another example of that. So what we take away from this is simple. We have to understand God created us. You are a product of God's creation. You are a unique creation among the cosmos. So we understand that mankind has a purpose and a reason. So this week, look at your life and understand you are created, not evolved. And definitely not a product of some space aliens. So have a great week. God bless.